It is that funny how many times people come in and say, ask me anything you want to, I'm ready. What questions you get? A few minutes.
Things fly across the floor, and she looked up and said, thank goodness. She said, I've been doing that.
I'm going to be on the search committee and to be able to, I mean, it was an eye-opener being on the search committee, but it was just a blessing.
Larry Smith. There was a lot of
preacher. I'm out mowing the yard, and it's hot. I'm just ripping. And here comes the preacher.
Out here. I don't know how this is supposed to be.
Well, it's
Right.
I'm on the phone, just be held. Just be held. Just be held.
Good evening. Welcome back to another live conversation here at Bethel. We've had a wonderful time in season one with the live conversations we had with all the different people, and I hope everybody enjoyed those. I know I had a lot of fun getting to talk and getting to learn. I've learned so much about people here in the church. It was really a blessing for me. I hope it was a blessing for you. Moving into season two, as we get ready to move in here, we've got a lot of new conversations ready to go. And hope you, again, are blessed by those. As I'm looking forward to all of them. Here tonight, as we get ready to get started, we've got a special episode. It is our season two premiere. It is live. So I'm hoping y'all are watching and joining in as we get ready to talk with three very special ladies that we have here at the church. And we are so blessed to have them in our church and here with us tonight. They are Denise Hoover, Beth Morgan, and Cheryl Wingrove. Thank you ladies for joining us.
Thank you.
Better known to us as the Smith sisters.
Right.
It is great to have you here tonight. How you guys doing?
Great. We're doing good.
Doing good.
We're hanging in there.
Very good. So as we talk through this just a little bit, you know, it is so interesting the lives that I have been able to see you guys present to us here at church, and it's been wonderful to watch you and know that we've learned from you. I know Amy is, certainly looks up to you guys, and we love you.
Thank you.
Sure. So just if you would just give us a little bit about who you are. Cheryl Smith Wingrove.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about Dallas. Who is Cheryl?
Who's Cheryl?
Who's Cheryl? Who's Sue? Who's Cheryl?
Sue, right. Yeah. Well, Dallas and I have been married 49 years in October, so I feel like pretty much we've been together our whole lives.
Sure.
And because I'm only 50, and but anyway, next month will be 49 years. The Lord has blessed us with a good marriage, and I think because we have kept the church and Christ in our lives, we have 3 sons, and we are very blessed with them. They all are Christians. They have jobs that they've kept through all of this mess going on.
Sure.
And 3 wonderful daughter-in-laws. We have 7 grandchildren, and we're just very blessed. We're very blessed, and we're all trying to get through the COVID and dealing with all the new things that's all the new normal.
Yeah,
And but we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there.
good, good. So the grandkids are back in school?
They went back Tuesday, and our grandchildren are ages 3 to 23.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we've got the oldest one, the youngest one aren't in school, but the others are.
Good.
And they had a very good first day, they said. Then yesterday, I believe, they were home, and then they went back today. And they're all involved in sports, so we have a good time, traveling with them.
Yeah.
And they were always in sports. They're our children, and now our grandkids are in sports. So we have a lot of fun
Yeah.
tagging with them. And hopefully we'll get to watch them this year. I mean, they keep talking how family may not get to go. Just, immediate family
Sure.
can go. But so I don't know how that'll go. It'll
Yeah,
be very
but-
disappointing if we can't, but I don't guess there's anything we can do about it.
Well, there's a lot of technology out there to help with that too.
Yes,
So, which
yes.
is truly a blessing, right? So,
Right. Yeah, thank you. Because we've got to watch our granddaughter even. She's on a travel basketball team, and there's people that are always live streaming the games. So, Dallas and I get to watch those live. So it's the next best thing if you can't be there.
Absolutely. I can't hear you cheering for me, but,
No,
but they know
no.
that, I'm sure that they know you are.
They know we're there, yes, yeah.
Well, very good. Bev,
Sir.
tell me a little bit about you and Chuck.
We've been married about 43 years.
Excellent.
And he worked for GE Sabic. He's retired. I worked as a nurse. I've been retired 15 to 20 years now.
Wow.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. And we have his grandparents' farm, plus where we live, so we keep busy between the two of those.
Okay.
We do raised gardens. I do flower gardens. So
Very nice.
we keep busy.
Very good. I didn't realize that you also had a farm that you all were taking care of as well.
Yes.
Where's that at?
It's out Federal Road. It's over in Ohio, about 5 minutes from us. It's close to Andrew and Tammy and Randy Fisher.
Okay.
And they help farm our farm.
Okay.
So that's nice. Yes.
Very
Yes.
good. Very good. So how was his feelings about GE turning into a parking lot? I bet that was hard.
It is. It was
Yeah.
very hard. He does not like to drive down past there. Yeah.
Even me, I worked down there for just a little bit, and even now, it's like every time I go past, it's like, wow, I still can't believe
Yeah.
what it is. So
Yeah. That's what he said. You work all those years and thought you were making a difference.
Sure.
And then you go by and everything is gone now.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough for him, I think.
I'm sure it is. So, where were you a nurse at?
I worked at the hospital, Camden Clark, for about a year, and then I worked for Dr. John Bean
Okay.
for a long time. And then I worked part-time at the old Corning Glass. It became
Yeah.
Shot Glass.
Yeah.
I was their part-time nurse.
Yeah.
And then I worked, the last thing I did was the C8 project.
Okay.
And then I retired.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Well, Cheryl, you didn't tell us, but I know that you work for that's a Jan Dills, right?
Jan Dills, yeah. I've been there, I was there 10 years in August, and before
Okay.
that, I worked at Northwestern Mutual.
Very good.
And I was a stay-at-home mom with the boys, and I wanted to do that, and I was thrilled I could do that. And I know we had 2 in college, and Ryan was a junior. And I thought, boy, we're going to have 3 children in college. And I think I'm going to see if I could just find something maybe to help out a little bit. And I thought, I'll just work like 4 or 5 years
Sure.
to get Ryan through college. Now, we didn't know at the time he was going to get a football scholarship, so that helped tremendously. But I thought, I'll just work 4 or 5 years till he gets through college, and then I'll just go back home. And I've been working 26 years now.
Wow.
So that 4 or 5 years just, went on and on and on, but I like it. I really like working at Jandil's office, and you get to help a lot of people that are in desperate need of trouble. And she's a good lady, wonderful boss, and really, truly cares about people.
Well, that is wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, I've always heard lots of good things about that office and her. So it is nice to have that in your community, right? So, because not all communities have somebody you
No.
can go to and you can trust.
I mean, just for instance, when the COVID started, and she has over 100 employees, and there's probably 15 of us maybe that work in the office now. Everybody else works from home, but she bought every one of them a laptop.
Okay.
So that they could work from home and not lose their jobs.
Wow. That is wonderful.
But
Very
she's a good lady.
Yep. Denise,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you and Chester.
Well, we've been married 44 years in November. And as both of them said, I do feel very blessed. I mean, we were raised by two parents that have been together almost 70 years now, and we're very blessed to still have both of our moms and dads. And life is good. Chester retired last year. He worked for State Electric, and
Okay.
he worked there from the time he got out of high school until he retired.
Wow.
And I retired last year, and then I work as a casual in the same position that I'm in, and I work for WVU Medicine, Camden Clark. I work in the marketing department.
Okay.
So I don't work a lot of hours right now, so that's good. And we love to golf every chance we get.
Okay.
And he loves to fish, and I love to go out in the boat with him and read a book.
Well,
So
that works out.
it works out good. If he catches some, I might get up and fish, but until he catches, I just relax.
There you go. Very
No sense
good.
of both of us wasting all the time.
Well, I kind of feel that way about golfing. I'm not big into fishing either, but I go out on a golf course and start thinking, man, this is good horse pasture.
Yeah.
That's about how I look at them.
Right. It's not an easy game, that's for sure.
Oh no, absolutely not. I've played enough to know that I'm no good at it, but I go out there and whack at a ball every once in a while,
I love it.
and that's great.
We had enough good shots that we're willing to go back every time, but
Sure.
Right.
we
Very
used
good.
to we used to take tens every
Don't
hole.
tell him that.
Well, now we don't. So
True.
But yeah, we used to take tens, and really probably should have had 15, but you can only take 10.
Okay, I thought you said tense.
Oh.
And I didn't know if it just took you that long to get through the holes or
Pretty
what
much.
it was.
Pretty much.
Really,
A
it's
lot of
sort of-
people would carry. Well, a lot of people would carry umbrellas, but I didn't remember anybody take tents.
Yeah. We needed a
We
tent.
probably could have. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So you spoke a little bit. How's mom and dad? How are Daryl and Geraldine doing?
You talk.
They're doing good.
Good.
Dad recently, in July, had some facial cancer surgeries,
Uh-huh.
but he's done great. He had a couple of skin grafts, but I mean, for their age, and Mom said she does not feel as old as the number of her age, but they do well. They're a great support for each other. We tell them all the time, we are watching them. I mean, with them struggling through different things, and they're still a couple,
Wow.
and we learn from them.
We're blessed
We
that
are.
we still have them.
Yes,
Oh, absolutely.
Very much.
You said married for 70 years?
almost.
It's almost 70.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And truly, and I don't want to cry, but you can see the love between them. People
Yes.
say love changes over time, and it does. From
Sometimes.
you're younger, and then, I don't have children, but, I'm sure it changed for Cheryl when children came along, and then as life goes on. But they still have that special love.
Yeah.
And they are such a role model to watch them.
I see that here. I miss seeing them here.
Yeah.
just because that is always been so obvious, you know.
Yes.
It is, when it's there, it is easy to see, like you
Yes.
said, you know, and it truly is. And not just that, but individually, you know, both your dad and your mom have always been very special people.
Yes.
When they're together, they're amazing. But even separated from each other, they're amazing people by
Yes.
themselves. So,
Yeah.
you know, they always have a smile. They're always so nice. Always have something nice to say.
And you know, we had, Dad's birthday was in April, and Dad is a very, very people person, and he just loves his kids and grandkids and stuff so much, and that's all he ever wants is just family to be together. And of course, this year in April, you know, it was just the start of the COVID. So, and we always have had him, you know, a party and everything. So this year we had a drive-by birthday
Sue thought of it,
party.
yes.
And it was just such a blessing because it just started out that was just going to be the family.
Right.
And then, you know, there was a couple people that found out about it and they called and wanted to know if they could come. And we were sure. We had almost 30 cars.
Wow.
And people from church, and they, you know, they called and said, "Can we be in it? Can we be in it?" And I told Mom and Dad, I said, "What a testimony
Sure.
that you all have
No,
for
absolutely.
the you know, the people at the church, and they love you that much that they, you know, come out just on a whim to drive from what used to be the Becky Lou to Mom and Dad's house, which maybe is 500 feet. And, you know, you just drove by and waved, but,
And honked and
honked your
signs.
horn, yes. But they're pretty special.
Absolutely they are. Several people have done those drive-bys, and those are very
Yes.
neat things that, you know, we adapt, right? And we do things that are still the right things to do, maybe just in a different way.
Different
You know?
ways.
So, and that is a really neat way that people have adapted to help celebrate lives.
Yes.
Right, and
Yes.
and it is great to be able to do that.
You're doing a drive-by shower, I think, aren't you?
We already
There we
did.
Or
did
you already
it.
did, okay.
Absolutely, yep,
Okay.
absolutely. So that worked out very well.
It
you
does.
know. It's different,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but it's still really very neat and
Right.
special.
It
Yeah,
is.
It is, because I know in the drive-by shower, they were able to spend just a few moments with each person as they drove by. you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you don't always get that when you have just a bunch of
Right.
people together.
No.
So
Yeah.
it kind of worked out very well. So,
We did that for Hannah. It was her 16th birthday.
Okay, yeah.
And they were able to do that. Dad couldn't be out, but Hannah could. And the same thing, you know, they handed her a little gift, talked to her a few minutes at the car window. And again, we don't know what our world is going to become.
Right.
But you can either adapt and try to come up with something different, or you can just, you know, sit back and moan and groan.
Yeah. Well, there's no use sitting back and
No,
moaning and groaning.
no, there's not.
There's too much life to live and too much happiness to enjoy
Right.
to do that, for sure.
Right.
You know, it's I moan and groan a little bit about these masks, and even at work, you know, we're supposed to wear them, and I'll get ready to get up and walk out of my office. Got to put this
Get
thing
my
on again,
mask
you know.
on, yep.
And I know the reason behind it, but it is different. But I think it's neat to see people wear all the different different kinds of
Yes.
masks and the different styles and different things. That is, you know, you can still be your person
Creative,
and your
yes,
individuality,
yes.
and still do that. So
Yep.
that's still cool. So I know it's not just the Smith sisters. You have two brothers.
Yes.
Do we?
Do you? Oh, yeah.
Well, one favorite and one other favorite.
See, they're not here, Dennis.
Yes.
We're the special ones.
Absolutely, you guys are the special ones. I'll say that all day long until they show up.
We have David and Brent.
David and Brent.
Yes.
Okay.
Brent was a surprise in the group.
Yes.
Yes, probably 22, 21 years.
I was 23, you were 22.
Yes.
And I was
18.
20.
Yes. And to-
David was 8,
Or
16,
yes.
16.
16.
And
Okay.
it was,
He'll call in about that if I get that wrong.
yes, he was a surprise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, we even had Jeremy already. Dallas and I were
That's
married and had
right.
Jeremy when Brent was born. Yeah. So they were just all like brothers, really.
Sure.
But now they'd always tease him and Uncle Brenty. Yeah, but
And truly, if they are watching, we are very blessed. David he is so good to our mom and dad. I mean, their yard, everything is just kept meticulous, and he's a wonderful son. And Brent is a wonderful son, too. You know, there's a lot of age difference between the two of them. Brent's got 2 little ones now that, you know, he's raising, and David's is out of college.
Okay.
But again, I'll say we're very blessed.
Oh, yeah.
There's 5 of us, and there's a lot of love.
And that's very neat to be able to maintain those relationships, right? You know,
Yes.
it would be easy for, you know, to have a lot of distance in between that age gap. And making sure that you put the time in to make that special for everybody.
Right.
You know, boys are boys, and Brent was probably more boy than anything, you know, and you know, and that's great. So it's having 3 big sisters, older sisters to look up to and follow, and an older brother to follow along.
Yeah.
I'm sure was kind of, it was different.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
very neat.
David
Yep.
used to give him a hard time sometimes. He said, "You girls are going to make him a wuss." So he would be harder on Brent to make up for what we might have been influencing him. Yes.
I would not call Brent that. You know?
No.
He certainly did not take that characteristic on.
No.
no, we are. I know Dallas, he'll always go, really, Cheryl, your family is not the norm. Because so many people, they aren't close.
Right. No, sure.
Even if it's just distance. And we're very blessed that we all live here. Everybody does except our youngest son, Ryan.
Right.
And but he said, you know, your family isn't the norm. We always thought we were because we all get along and everything, so we just assume that's how everybody does. But
Sure.
I guess there's some that don't.
Absolutely. It's you know, it is, and that's one of the neat things that, you know, I see. I think several people in the church sees is, you know, you all's how close knit your family is. You know, and it really is special.
Thank
So
you.
it's nice to know that you just always have that. Right? You're always together. You're always laughing. Well, most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the
Details out there.
And we pack our pew.
we may not have enough time.
Yes.
You think there's only that one pew in
Yes.
church we can sit in, and buddy, we just squeeze them in.
But I do want to say, I think that's too, because Mom and Dad raised us in a Christian home.
Sure.
And I think all of us wanted to kind of form our marriage after theirs. I mean, nobody's life is perfect and no marriage is perfect. You know, but we were always raised that, you know, if you had a problem, you needed to work it out between the 2 of you. And
You could come and visit if you had problems, but you left that night.
that's right.
No
You
staying
went
all
home.
night.
Okay.
That's
Yes.
what-
Yep.
That was one of the rules.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
And Mom said, honestly, I really just don't even want to hear your problem,
Right.
because she said, I'm probably going to side with my child. And, you know, maybe you always shouldn't, but she said, I'd really just almost just as soon you didn't even tell me. But if you do, you're going home
Yes.
that night. You're
Yeah.
not, you know, you're not moving in or staying the night or.
Okay.
And-
That's kind of, that's neat, you know, because I wouldn't think of that needing to be a rule.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Well, yeah, I think she
Force that
just.
a little bit. There
I think she just figured you couldn't fix it if you're separated.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So again, one of the neat ways of raising a really close-knit family. So, very cool. So you were telling me a little bit earlier, you all grew up on a farm, right? You know, and y'all love that farm life, right?
I love
Well-
the farm.
Okay.
Mama and Papa's
Well,
farm.
Mel-
Yeah, it was our
our
grandparents.
grandparents had the farm, but we went down, Dad worked shift work, but we went down there was one day of the week that he was off, and we all went down and did farm work.
Well, very good, very good. You like throwing hay bales?
Yes, we had a lot of fun time in the hayfields
We looked
and
cute.
picking green beans with the sweat beads.
Oh,
There was a lot of good memories, though, at the farm. Actually, Dad was born to his parents when they were in their early 40s.
Okay.
And we were the only grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So we did spend a lot of time on the farm, and I think you learn a lot on a farm. You learn how natural things are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always said there's no better place to be raised and to raise kids. You know, I grew up on the farm. I've been blessed to have been able to raise my kids on a farm.
Yep.
Yes.
And now share that life with their kids.
Right.
You know, my grandkids, and it is very special.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
And all my memories are wonderful from the farm.
all of them.
All of them.
Every one of them.
Every one of them.
oh, I'm
Okay.
sure hers are.
I could probably think of one. Maybe.
One, yeah. It was special to her.
Yeah.
So I know, working in a garden with family and brothers and sisters, it's sometimes green beans get thrown or bigger things. That would never happen with you guys, right?
You.
No?
I'm sure lots of things got thrown.
David did not like green beans, and he said, I don't know why I have to pick them. I don't like them.
Don't
And
even
Mom
eat them.
said, you will pick.
Yeah, very good.
And we did.
Yes.
And I remember one time when we got a little bit older, we had to help hoe. And we weren't good hoers.
Uh-oh.
And we were hoeing corn.
You were-
And of course, we'd end up chopping it down. And boy, we'd get down there and we'd just get that all fixed up, put the.
Make it look like it was
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah. And then,
So Papa didn't get upset with us.
and then the next day, Papa would always say to me, well, I don't know what is the matter with this corn. It's just the spots of it are dying. Well, that's where we chopped it off.
yeah.
But we fixed it while we were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were good cattle girls, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Denise and Mom were very good with cattle
Okay.
that we were trying to maybe get in a pen. And somehow they got out of the pen with a little help.
It got out, but we got it back in. Maybe not the way Dad would have, but we got it back in.
Yeah, it jumped out over the stall. And cattle aren't supposed to do that.
Oh, no, no.
Did you get it by the tail?
It did. I did grab one by the tail one time when they were trying to herd it in, and it stopped.
Oh, really? Did it just keep on running?
No, it didn't. Dad did tell me, do not ever do that again.
Yeah, that's
But,
probably not a great
no.
place to be on the tail end of
But
a
we did
cow.
have fun on the farm, yeah.
Oh, good. Good, yeah, it's, and you might as well have fun. You know, farming is a lot of work.
It is.
Absolutely, it's a lot of work. And
Cutting
you gotta love
wood.
it. So you might as well have fun doing it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, well, very good. Very good. So growing up with sisters, any favorite stories out there that you wanna, that you might wanna bring up or tell us about? I mean, I took a couple notes.
Well,
I am the favorite.
Absolutely.
Daughter.
Absolutely, yes. I can
So
tell.
they feel that I got some favoritism at times.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't remember any of it.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll just tell it. Vince, we've
she
already
hasn't
talked
gone
about
over
it.
this.
That's right. We talked about this in warm-up or whatever, but Bev and I had built us a teeter-totter. And we just, we took a log
Yep.
and we had it laying down and we had a long board.
Yep.
And her and I were teeter-tottering, and of course Denise decided she wanted to get on. And of course, Bev and I wouldn't let her on either end, so she gets in the middle
Okay.
where the log is
Yeah.
and the board.
Yes.
She gets her finger smashed.
Oh, no, I would never have guessed.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, of course, she screams bloody murder. And Dad and Mom were out cutting firewood, so they were right there.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't get in a bit of trouble.
Oh, really?
No, Bev and I did. We
Okay.
got a whipping. But she, and we said, we didn't do anything. It wasn't our fault. She shouldn't have been on there.
Oh, gee
She gets her
whiz.
fingers smashed. We get in trouble.
I just don't remember. Don't remember.
It scarred us.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
I bet her kids didn't have any teeter totters.
Not made out of wood.
Not made out of wood.
No.
Not made that way, right?
Nope.
So as this is a live conversation, I hope there's people out there. If there are any questions that you would like to ask the Smith sisters, we would certainly welcome those. Okay. We've got one, evidently.
Oh, boy.
What is it,
Dear.
Cody?
Okay, so this one is from Penny Chanel. This is in regards to the farm.
Oh,
She says, so out of the three of you, who was the hardest worker on the farm?
oh dear.
I would say we probably all were.
I see a little bit of disagreement with that statement. I may be reading it wrong. I'm just saying there was a little bit of silence there.
Cheryl, we're live.
I mean, I guess if I'd be honest, probably not me.
Not me either. No.
I mean, I always kind of like to look nice, so you know, you get dirty on the farm.
Well, there's a little bit of that involved, yes.
We did help. We helped with lots of things. I mean, Mama and them even had pigs, so you know, you slop the hogs and all that. But probably when we were littler, we were made,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, to do this stuff. And as we got older, we had fun doing
We had
it.
fun.
We
yeah,
really
we
did.
went down.
David was the hardest worker on the farm then, right?
There you go.
Not then, was he?
No.
When he was little.
No.
But
he
he-
would be now.
Yes.
Well,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
And has
definitely the
been,
hardest
yeah.
worker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Ah, shoot. So, as we were talking just a little bit, you guys have, as a family, have been here at Bethel for
Ever.
all, well, this has been your
55
home
plus
church
years.
Yeah.
since you guys were kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So, and you were telling me that, I've always known that this portion was the build on and the add on to the, I thought the original church, but that wasn't the original church either. So, it was very neat to find out that there was the church over closer to the graveyard. That was kind of neat. And, so what kind of changes have you all seen as the church has grown and changed, over the years? You mentioned something about a BYF. What was BYF to you guys?
Bev.
Baptist Youth Fellowship, yeah.
Baptist Youth Fellowship.
Yes. And
Okay.
it was the youth group.
Okay.
And we were involved in that forever. Yeah.
We met on Sunday night during church, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Or we came an hour early, and then we came up to church as a
Did
group,
we?
didn't we? I think so.
don't know. That was a long time.
I know it was. And I'm saying I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a little white and stone church over there.
Yeah.
And that's where we started. I think we were trying to remember how old we were, and I think I was around 7th grade maybe. I mean, we went to Bethel Baptist Temple
Yeah.
in town because
Okay.
we lived on
By City
19th
Park,
Street.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
it was right down from there till we moved to Lubeck, and we just drove into Baptist Temple all the time. And then we started coming here on
Sunday mornings, I think. or
Sunday
Sunday
night
to
and
bed.
Wednesday night.
Okay.
And then we got started, yeah.
In the
Full-time.
60s, early
Yeah.
60s, Mom said.
Yeah.
Because I asked her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was.
Very good.
Yeah.
But no, back to BYF, I think it was a lot like what Awanas has become today.
Okay.
But Awanas, I think, is so wonderful because they learn all the Bible verses, all the scriptures, and the memorization. But it was a lot like that. We got together, and I mean, you had your devotions, and you did biblical things. But Bev, you had mentioned earlier some of the fellowship that we did.
Right. We used to go visit the older folks, which now, or
It's us.
yes, yes,
Yes.
But we loved it. We got to meet them, and you enjoy getting to know them. And oh gosh, didn't we do Christmas?
With Christmas caroling.
yes.
And then we'd come back and have your hot chocolate
Yes.
cookies. And,
Yes,
But
and we had devotions. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And one of the big changes, and we do really sound old with this, but like tonight doing this, I would have never, when I was growing up, have thought that there would have been something that you could stream or, you just, over the years, we got tapes that you could
Yes.
take home and listen, but I would have never thought that we would have come this far in my life. And you really do feel old when you think about that, Never thought I'd be carrying a phone in my purse, So I think it's wonderful, the advancement, because like tonight and like with what's going on, if people can't come to church, they can still listen to all the sermons, all the messages, and, But that's one of the really big things I think about as the technology changes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was huge technology when we would have the cassette tapes, the recordings of the sermons. And
Yes.
Yes.
when we first started coming to Bethel, I remember the sound booth back there would sit back there, and I'd hear the tapes change as he was recording and stuff and things like that. And the big cabinet that was in the library with all the tapes in it and everything. And technology allows us to do a lot of things, and it is very neat, whether we're doing that here at church or in our own personal lives. The technology is cool. It makes it pretty neat. So
when that church was there was just the basement
okay.
was built. And we had some Sunday school classes in there, and then they built the top, which
Sanctuary,
of course now is Sunday school classrooms back there. But we were all married there. We were all baptized here. Of course, then they built this part of the church on.
Right.
So we've seen a lot of changes, a lot of
yes.
growth
Sure.
of the church over our
Absolutely.
expanded lifetime.
So we've got another question that Cody's got for us.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, wow. We're actually getting we've got more than one. I'm just going to do one for now, and we'll come back to a couple more. But, so Rod Barrett wants to know, growing up, who got in the most trouble out of the three of you?
Probably me.
Well, that was an easy answer.
I'm just going to go ahead and confess because I'm in church. And thank you, Rod, for your question.
I'll talk to you after church.
It was her.
We'll talk, Rod.
So we've got a little bit of agreement here, even though she was the favorite, and you guys got in trouble when she didn't. Any extra things going on there that some of the things that Miss Denise got in trouble for?
I was always pretty good.
It's her memory. It's lapsing.
She's the oldest.
yeah.
It's leaving her.
Don't burst my bubble. I was always afraid of getting in trouble. So I didn't do too much wrong.
Well, Bev, what about you?
And she didn't either.
Okay.
She did.
Bev,
Maybe
you tell
you.
them what you did.
Well, I didn't do anything.
Next question.
Yeah. You have another one, Cody?
Very good. Okay, Cody, you have another one for us.
Okay, so Pastor Aaron wants to know.
Oh, no.
Who is more likely to fall asleep during his sermons?
Wow, wow.
It would not be any of the three of us.
No. No.
Maybe
We-
Brent or David. We could throw them under the bus.
Yeah, David would. He's a really good guy, but he probably,
sermons
he
are
always
too good
works.
that you could not
They-
fall asleep.
no.
There you go.
No, I mean, truthfully, we love you, Aaron, and I couldn't fall asleep.
No.
I'm really intent on listening, really,
I
and
listen to
learning.
all of them
So,
online, and I've not fallen asleep.
There you go. And I take notes, so, yeah.
Very good, very good. He does a great job.
Yes, he
Yes, he
does.
does.
Very good.
We're very
Yes.
blessed.
Blessed to have him.
Yes.
Him and his
we are.
family with us, that's for sure.
Yes.
You know, so, and we're not just saying that because we're live. you know.
Right,
Yes.
that's right,
We
and
really
that
mean that.
and that we know he's
We
listening.
really, we
That's
really
right.
mean that.
And the Bethel.
Yeah.
And the dollar.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay,
I
Aaron.
appreciate that. That was nice. Yep, yep.
Are we
So
done?
what were some of these other notes that I had?
He's
so,
got more
uh,
notes now.
Denise, tell us about some of the technology that you had when you were in the quartet.
Oh, when I was young, because really, none of us girls sing good, and I'm not saying that negative. We don't.
We're not in the
That's why
choir.
we're not in the choir.
There's a reason we
But,
sit in the pew.
When I was here as a youth, I did sing in a quartet with two of the other girls, and we were practicing in the old church one day, and it was the pastor's daughter, and we thought he was studying in the study, and we didn't have any microphones, so we were using candles as microphones, and he heard us. So.
And it wasn't necessarily your church music.
We really weren't practicing our church music. So needless to say, we got in trouble for that. And back then, when you got in trouble with one parent, you usually got in trouble with all parents. So, but I still did sing after that. That's not why I'm not a singer. It just over the years, we just don't sing well. We don't have good tones.
No.
It's all about making the melody in your heart, you know.
Yeah. And we do that.
Yeah.
And it is sweet music to God. no
Yes,
matter
it
what.
is.
We sing in the car with the windows up. Yes.
Well, I dance in the car.
There we go. Yeah, I know one time I was driving down in front of the mall, and of course I had K-Love on, had the windows down, and was just singing, and I happened to look over, and there's Margie Simonis in her car, singing
Singing,
song
very
I was
good.
singing, yes.
She rolled down the window
She
and
had her
sang
windows
guys and
down
sang
too,
together.
yes. I think she can sing, though.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. Cody?
Okay, so we're going to go with the easy one first. Janice Merritt would like to know, she says, ask Cheryl about her first job with Dr. Avery.
Oh, my.
Thank you, Janice.
And I helped her
Yes, you did.
heal with her surgery.
She doesn't care.
No, she doesn't.
She threw you under the bus.
Well, I told you about how, I thought I was going to get a job to help out because we were going to have kids in college. Well, this was a little bit before that, though. It was probably in middle school. And I thought, the kids are on school, I'm just going to try to help. And so Dallas was friends with Dr. Avery, and he hired me, Dr. Avery. And so I went into work, and
Front
technology.
Yes.
And this little girl, she knew what she was doing, but she didn't really, I don't think, know how to teach me. And she just, rambled on and on and on all this stuff, and I'm just, I am overwhelmed with all this stuff she's telling me. And so on my lunch break, I go down to the store and tell Dallas, I said, oh my gosh, I just don't know the things she's talking about. I'm overwhelmed, and I'm going to go back, but so I went back that day, and I got home that night, and I fixed supper, and of course I'd laid out a chicken. I was going to fix this big supper, which I did, and we ate about 8 o'clock that night instead of 5, and I was just so upset I couldn't eat, because I just thought, I just can't do this. And Dallas he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing." And I tried to eat, and he said, "What's wrong? You're not acting yourself." I said, "Nothing." So after the third time, I ran upstairs and just crying. And he came up and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I just don't think I can do this. I can't have supper at 8 o'clock. I can't go work all day and not know this stuff." And he said, "You don't have to work. You never had to work. You wanted to do it." So the next morning I called the lady and I said, "I just can't do this. I just can't." They're back there laughing.
One day.
One day. And I said, "I just can't do this." I said something about my children, and I just told her, and she said, "Will you come in and get your paycheck?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, no, I can't take a paycheck. I just worked one day." She said, "Honey, you have to take a paycheck. We have to pay you if you're here." I said, "Really, just keep it. Put it somewhere." She said, "If you don't come and get it, we have to mail it to you." I said, "Well, just mail it because I'm not coming." And so Janice, she thought that was she cackles over that all the time, that I worked one day.
Her longest job.
Yeah.
Well, you've made up for it, though.
I have, yes, I have. I just wasn't ready then.
Yes.
No, my children needed me, I thought.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it. Yes.
And I just couldn't have supper at 8 o'clock every night.
Well,
But that's a long time ago. I mean, people now, they do it all the time, and there's girls I work with, and I'm amazed at them. I tell them all the time, I said, "I don't know how you get your children up and get them ready and fed and books together and everything, get them where they need to go and be at work at 8 o'clock." Yeah. I mean, I'm...
Well, it's
yes.
Absolutely. There's so much to do.
I'm amazed at how they do that.
Funny story about that is my kids would go down and stay with Amy's mom and dad, who lived down in Fayette County. And through the summer, they'd spend a few days every summer down there with them. And Amy's mom was like that. At 5 o'clock, supper. That was not something that we did. Oh, absolutely not. And I remember Aubrey telling us that she asked Mama Joe. And I said, "Mama Joe, why are we having supper?" And Mama Joe, "What do you mean? It's time to have supper." And Aubrey looked out the window and said, Well, Mama Joe, it's not dark yet."
Oh, you got told on it.
I'll tell you how well we did.
Well, Amy probably worked.
Amy did. So
Yes, so-
she worked. Up until Stephen was born, and then she stayed
okay.
home.
Uh-huh.
And then after the kids got a little older, she went back to work too.
Yeah.
So, but growing up on a farm, there's always stuff to do.
Right,
And
right.
there's most of the time it was dark by the time we got in the house to even have supper.
Yes.
To do stuff. So. Other question, Cody?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these are starting to roll in.
We're in trouble.
Okay, so apparently a certain somebody doesn't want to be named in this question because they sent it to us secretly. They asked me to ask you all to elaborate on what your retirement plan is that involves living with Brent.
Oh,
Well, I bet I know who asked that.
I do too.
Bev,
Probably Casey.
Why don't you tell him, Bev?
Dad's mother and her two sisters all had Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So we have always worried that we are going to get it. Well, Brent came along late, so we always told him that when you grow up and we need help, you're going to have to take care of us. So Brent always told us, he said, "I'm going to take you down to the farm and I'm going to fence it in." And he said, "Every day I'll put a clothes rack out and purses and stuff, and you girls can shop. You'll come in at night." He said, "You will forget what was out there, and we'll do the same thing the next day, he said, and you'll be fine.
And he was giving us coupons.
Oh, that's true.
Because we like coupons.
Yes, and coupons to shop with.
He said, we'll just never remember the same stuff that was out there, and we'll just be happy shopping.
Yeah.
And when he met Casey, we asked her, do you like old people? Because
It's a package deal.
it's not just Brent
We love you, Brent.
and Casey.
Well, good way to take advantage of the opportunity and the situation that you all grew up with.
Well, that's probably why the Lord brought him into our lives, to take care of us someday.
I'm sure that's the way Brent feels
I'm
too.
sure he is so thrilled. We went one time on vacation. Us three girls went down in Brent, and we went to the beach and whatnot.
Oak Island,
When I
yeah.
came back to work, one of the fellows was listening to us talk, and he said, "Your brother had a good time?" I said, "He really did." He said, "He told you all he did." But we never believed that.
We knew we had fun.
That's right.
We
That's right.
did.
We'll have to ask him the next time we
Yes.
see him if he really had a good time. Oh, very good.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Brent.
Cody.
it wasn't Casey. And Jeff Nolan
Oh, dear.
says to ask Denise
Oh, my.
to tell us about the time you lost your golf club while playing golf and was unable to recover it.
Well, Cheryl and Dallas and Chester and I were at Mingo Bottom golfing. And we were about done, and I think we were very tired. And probably getting close to the 16th or 17th hole. And I realized I didn't have one of the clubs. And Chester's looking at me like,
Really?
husbands that really love you. And it's kind of like, well, why don't you know where your club's at? So Cheryl and I went back like to, I don't know how many holes looking. And when I got back, it was in my bag.
Oh, no.
But Jeff did help encourage Chester that if I would put them in there in the order of the club, like your 4, 5, 6, then I would always find them. So Jeff, I do want Jeff to know I do that now. I don't lose many clubs now. I might put it in someone's bag by accident, but I don't lose any.
Somebody's got an extra, it's probably yours.
That's right.
What it is.
But yeah.
Okay, so this question's for Bev. This is the first one we've had for Bev. This is from Oma Davis.
Oh, no. Oh, my
It
man.
says, ask Bev about Guild Girls.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, forgot about that.
Guild
me
Girls.
too.
Okay.
It was a young group of girls, and we had BYF, and then we had Guild Girls, and we met, and Oma May was part of it. I was trying to think. That was Valda.
That was-
Valda when she was still here, and Reverend Nicholson. She worked with us, and then Marge Montgomery worked with us. But I thought we were good.
What did Guild Girls do?
We had meetings, and we did projects, and it was just basically for the girls to have time to be together
Okay.
and to kind of grow and discuss things as you grow, kind of things. Yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
It's not like you had enough sisters there to help you.
We did. That you got to be on your own sometimes.
Another
Yes.
perspective. Another
So
perspective.
getting away from the sisters is what Guild Girls was about. Huh?
Yes. Hi, Oma May. Yes.
Well, very good. Any other questions,
Are we
Cody?
good?
Not as of right now.
Okay.
So back to the notes.
Well, the questions have helped me with my notes because those were some of the questions that I had as well. So,
okay.
Any other thoughts from you all of life as sisters? You know, how does that relate from a biblical perspective in the sense that we've got several examples, right, of mothers and daughters and family within the Bible itself. You guys portray, not just portray, but live a truly wonderful life that we see here at church. And like you said, there's ups and downs
Yes.
in all families,
Yeah.
and that happens. But it is such a blessing to have you guys as part of the church and the family, the joy that you bring within the family of your own, and then show to everybody else as well. So are there any specific things that you would like to suggest or say, hey, advice that you would give to any other families out there?
I will say one thing, that as far as having best friends, both sisters, absolutely, the best friend.
One more
In
than the other?
support. No. No, we're not going there.
She probably thinks she does.
Oh, I was supposed to say that. I forgot, sorry.
No, and really, again, you know, Bev and Denise both talk that they've never had children, but
Just cry.
just so loving and caring and good with our children. And I mean, they were just always there for them. I mean, a lot of children didn't even have parents that could go watch or would go watch them do something. And Bev and Denise, Chester, Chuck, always, even with the great nephews and nieces, they're always there, just so supportive and loving and caring and just, you know, giving them little cash money for their grades or taking them to Moe's or, you know, traveling 2 hours to a basketball game and having them. The boys and Brent one time went and stayed all night with Denise and Chester at Clarksburg for the weekend or week, I
They
think.
come up lots of times
Yeah.
in the summer for a week.
And
We loved it, really, we did.
and she called him one day and she said, do y'all need anything when I come home from
Now, they
work?"
were older to stay by themselves.
Yeah, they were,
Okay.
yeah, they were 3, 5, and 6.
Okay.
But anyway, she said, and she, of course, had all kinds of groceries she'd bought for them, and they said, well, we need another loaf of bread and maybe milk, I mean, or lunch meat, something.
Like
crazy.
everything.
And she said, well, I just bought, you know, a loaf of bread. And she wasn't caring, but it was just like in her mind, how they go through all this food in a day?
They're boys, yes. And you were good about giving them pop for breakfast.
Oh, yeah, when they were at my house, they got anything they wanted for breakfast because I drink pop for breakfast and I eat ice cream. So I could not do that. And I didn't think it would hurt them a week,
Right.
a year.
Plus, it helped be the best aunt, right? You
Yes.
know,
Yes. Oh, yes.
the most favorite.
Yeah.
But as they both said, we are like best friends. And I would tell anyone that is out there that has sisters or brothers, you know, life is too short. You know, none of us see things the same way, but you have to learn to respect everybody's opinion and love each other.
Sure.
And I think in the end, family is who's always there. I mean, God is always with us. And we always have Him to depend on. But we probably talk 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
You know?
Our husbands will sometimes say from church, really? You have to stay after church to talk? With what you all talk during the week, you can't get out into the cars? No, pretty tough, pretty tough. There's things you have to discuss.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Face to face is always better
It
than
is.
on the
Yeah.
phone
Always
or,
better,
you know,
yes.
or texting or anything. So
Well, and it is like Denise said, I mean, we all are different.
Sure.
And you do things differently, think things differently. And even when the boys were at the age where they were going to get married, I told them, I said, you know, you have to be flexible and give and take. And, you know, the girl you're marrying, maybe she had Christmas Eve always, or her Christmas on Christmas Eve, and we had our, you know, Christmas Day. That's how they did it. And you know, you adapt and you change and compromise. And it's families. You have, you know, you may always want to be right, but you can't always be right. And or yeah, you know. But you know, you give and take, and just remember the love.
Yes.
And know that they're going to be there for you in the end.
And speaking of marriage, and I think they'd probably say the same thing, I am very blessed to have a husband that does love me, and he loves my family, and treats my parents like he treats his mom. His father is deceased. But I think life you work at every day, but I always remember people saying, you know, keep that triangle and keep God at the top.
Right.
And if you can do that, then most things fall into place.
Yeah, it is always amazing when our focus is on Him,
Yes.
and how much of the other stuff we don't have to focus on.
Right.
Doesn't matter as much.
It doesn't. It takes a lot less precedence.
Yes.
And he does such a good job of just making everything work out for you. You know, just as long as we keep our focus on Him.
Right.
Yeah, so. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions, Cody?
Nope.
They're probably saying, would they get done? We want to watch something else.
We want to watch the football game.
Yeah, football's on.
Thank you all very much.
Well, thank you
It's
all
been a
for having
pleasure.
us.
I know that when we were working on the season 2 and the interviews and stuff, I was looking forward to this, and it has been a very enjoyable time. You know, it's always a blessing to have you guys and to be able to talk with you. So
Thank you.
Thank you. We had fun.
Yes, we did.
wonderful.
We were nervous. We didn't know what we were going
You
to get
didn't act
in.
very nervous.
Well, I mean, before we did it, we didn't know what we were going to
Yeah.
be doing, but
Thank
had
you all.
fun.
Y'all are wonderful,
Thank
and we
you.
love you.
thank you. Thank you.
As we finish up here tonight,
Bethel.
as we finish up here tonight in our live conversation, it is always a pleasure to have these conversations here at Bethel, and we appreciate everybody that's been able to join in and all the questions that we had. We have a great lineup of people and different conversations that we're going to have this year, this fall, and I hope you all are able to join us for those conversations as well. And before we get out of this live event, I do want to give a big shout out to Cody and Grant, as they do a wonderful job making all of the sound and all of this come together. So it's not just us, they do a wonderful job too. And we'd love to hear from you and wonder how God is working in your life.